Have you ever really thought about the food on your plate? I mean, not just where it comes from, but who actually makes money from it? It seems like a simple question, but the answer? Well, it's surprisingly complicated. And it gets us right to the heart of a huge paradox in our global food system.
Here it is, the big question. How is it that the very people who form the foundation of our entire food system, the farmers, are so often the ones who struggle the most to turn a profit? Today, we're going to dig into exactly how this happens, and we'll use paddy farming in India as a really powerful case study.
And look, this isn't just about making a few less rupees. This is serious. This chart here shows the profit margins for everyone along the supply chain. See that bar on the far left? Yeah, that's the farmer. In the Indian state of Bihar, farmers can lose 188 rupees for every single quintal, that's 100 kilograms, of paddy they produce. Think about that. They are literally paying to grow our food. How is that even possible? All right, to get our heads around how a farmer can actually lose money on the sale, we need to zoom out. We have to look past the individual farm and see the entire system they're caught in. This whole thing is what economists call an agricultural value system, or AVS for short. It's the entire journey, right? From a seed going in the ground to the crop being harvested, then processed in a mill, and finally sold to you and me as rice. And here's the key. At every single step of that journey, you've got different people, different companies, and, most importantly, wildly different amounts of power. And for most small farmers, this is the crucial point. Selling their crop isn't some strategic business move. It's an act of desperation. They have loans they have to repay. They often don't have proper storage to wait for better prices. So they're forced to sell right after the harvest, which is the exact moment when prices are at rock bottom. It's not really a choice. The scholar Krishna Bharadwaj had a great term for it, a compulsive involvement that's driven by pure distress. And these charts tell you exactly who is creating the value in the first place. See how as the farm size gets smaller, the amount of labor provided by the family just skyrockets? This means that the real foundational value in this whole system is coming directly from the hard work, the sweat and toil of these small farming families. So, this brings us to the most critical moment in the whole process, the harvest. This is where all those power dynamics we've been talking about really come into play and decide who gets the profit and who doesn't. Just look at this top graph. You see that massive spike? Come October, when all the paddy is harvested, the market is just flooded. Nearly the entire year supply hits the market in just a few short months. Every farmer has to sell. And they all have to sell at pretty much the same time. Now check out the bottom graph. That's us, the consumers. Our demand for rice is basically flat. It's steady all year round. We don't all suddenly buy a year's worth of rice in October. And that right there creates this huge fundamental imbalance, a massive seasonal tsunami of supply crashing into a steady, constant demand. And this imbalance creates two completely different pricing realities. For the farmer's raw paddy, the price is demand determined. With that flood of supply, the buyers, the big processors and traders are in the driver's seat. They hold all the cards and can push prices way down. But then for the processed rice that they sell, the price is cost determined. The rice mills just calculate their own costs, add a nice profit margin on top, what's called cost plus, and that's the price we pay. So what's the result? It's a systematic transfer of wealth. This power imbalance lets the industrial processors just capture the value that was first created on the farm. They buy the raw paddy for a low demand-driven price, and then they turn around and sell the finished product, the rice, at a higher cost-plus price that they control. Profit is literally being siphoned out of the fields and into the factory. Now, I know this might all sound a bit theoretical, but we can see the real-world impact plain as day when we compare two very different states in India. Okay, let's put the data for Punjab and Bihar right next to each other. Punjab is on top, Bihar is on the bottom. The difference is just staggering. You can see the middlemen and mills are making money in both places, but just look at that very first bar in each chart. That's the farmer's share. In Punjab, farmers are making a profit. It's a modest 66 rupees per quintal. Sure, not a huge fortune, but it's a profit. They are in the black. And then you look at Bihar. It's a loss of 188 rupees, a massive, crushing loss. Now, in both states, the rice mills at the other end of the chain are doing just fine, but the farmers' outcomes couldn't be more different. So, what on earth explains this? The answer, it turns out, is policy. It's all about state support. In Punjab, the state is a huge player in the market. It buys up 78% of all the rice that's produced. It gives heavy subsidies for electricity to help with farming, and it provides almost 3 times more official credit to farmers. In Bihar, all of these support systems are just so much weaker. So let's zoom in on what might be the single most important difference here: public procurement. This is how the state literally puts its thumb on the scale to try and rebalance the power in the market. Here's how it works. Without the government stepping in, private buyers can just use that supply glut to their advantage and force prices down. Simple as that. But when the state comes in and guarantees it will buy a huge chunk of the crop at a fixed minimum support price, or MSP, everything changes. It creates a price floor, a safety net. And all of a sudden, private buyers can't just lowball farmers anymore. They have to compete with the government's price. And that lifts the entire market price for everyone, even for farmers who don't end up selling to the state. And this chart just makes that difference crystal clear. Punjab's government is buying 78% of the rice. Bihar's is only buying 17%. You can see how this one single policy difference is the key driver behind the profit in Punjab and the devastating loss in Bihar. Now, to be clear, this system isn't perfect, not by a long shot. There are still big problems with debt and middlemen. But what this shows is that state intervention can act as an absolutely vital counterbalance in a market that is, by its very nature, tilted against the small producer. So, after all of this, what does it all mean for the food we eat and for the people who grow it? I think the big takeaway is this: a free market in agriculture isn't always a fair market. It just isn't. Because of the unique way it's structured, with these supply gluts and these powerful processors, the natural flow of things is for power and profit to get concentrated at the top, pulling value away from the very farmers who created it in the first place. And that really leaves us with a huge question to think about the next time we're buying groceries. If our entire food system is built on a foundation that's unprofitable for the very people who do the work, what are the hidden costs we're all paying? What is the real price of our food?